Okay, so we are going to take a look at simplifying fractions before we multiply. Okay, so we know that when we multiply fractions, we can always simplify at the end, right? So for example, if we were to do the following problem, let's do 2/3 times, let's say, times 6. Okay, again, we can turn that 6 into a 6/1. Now 2 times 6 equals 12. 3 times 1 equals 3. Now, I still have to simplify this problem. So in this case, what would I need to do? Well, I would need to divide 12 by 3, which equals 4, and that's my answer. Okay? So, this is the normal way we can do a problem, but we can also go ahead and simplify beforehand. So if we were to look at this, and simplify beforehand, let's clear this out and do it again. Okay, so we had 2/3 times 6/1. So in order to simplify beforehand, we're going to look at our numerators and denominators. And if any numerator, any of these two numbers, has a common factor with any denominator, okay, we can divide each of those by that common factor. Now this only works when it's one numerator and one denominator. So you might be noticing 2 and 6 can both be divided by 2. But since they're both numerators, we cannot do that. If you take a look, we've got 6 here and 3 here, which can both be divided by 3, right? So if we were to take 3 divided by 3 and 6 divided by 3, now we've got a new problem that we're working with. So 3 divided by 3 we know is 1, so I'm just going to rewrite this down here. 2/3 divided by 3, which is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and that's still 1. So now we have 2/1 times 2/1, and that equals 4/1, which just equals 4. So in this case, we didn't have to do any simplifying in dividing 12 by 3. So let's do another example problem there. Okay, so if we were working, again, let's say, this time let's do 3/8 times, let's say, 6/7. Okay, so again, we're going to look for any common factors these might have. So I'll go ahead and do the original math first, show you the right answer, and then we'll do it by simplifying ahead of time. So if we were to just multiply it out, 3 times 6 equals 18, 8 times 7 equals 56. Now I need to think of a common factor they both have, which in this case I know 2 would work, and half of 18 is 9, half of 56 is 28. So I believe that would be the correct answer here. If we divide them both by 2, we get 9/28. Okay? However, we can also simplify this beforehand. So let's go back and look at our original problem here and ask ourselves, is there any set of a numerator and denominator that both have a common factor? Okay, well, let's look at 3. Does 3 have any common factors with 8? No. Does it have any common factors with 7? No. What about 6? Okay, well, I know that 6 can be divided by 2, and so can 8. So let's go ahead and divide these both by 2. Okay, so let's rewrite our problem down here. 3/8 divided by 2, which is 4, times 6 divided by 2, which is 3/7. Now if we multiply it out, 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 7 is 28. Now if we notice, that is the same answer as this one, but we did not have to simplify like we did here. So it saves us a step. Let's try one more like that. So let's do 4/5 times, let's say, 1/2. Okay, so again we can do 4 times 1, which equals 4. 5 times 2 equals 10. Divide those both by 2, and we would get 2/5. Or we can simplify it beforehand. So if we did that, let's look here. Okay, I know I can divide 4 and 2 by 2. So we'll rewrite our problem. 4 divided by 2 equals 2/5 times 1 over 2 divided by 2, which is 1. And we have 2 times 1 equals 2. 5 times 1 equals 5. So, again, we get the same answer, but we don't have to simplify afterward because we did our simplifying beforehand. Okay, now something to keep in mind here is that this equation, if we're looking down here, this 2/5 times 1 over 1, that's not the same thing as 4/5 times 1 over 2, so it might be confusing to you because we've changed the numbers, but because we're dividing a numerator and denominator by the same number, we still get the correct answer. So that is how we simplify before multiplying our fractions.